The Navy SEAL smirked as he glanced at the quiet woman in civilian clothes standing in the corner of the briefing room. "So, what's your rank, ma'am?" he asked with a chuckle. The room went silent. Then, one by one, every admiral in the command center rose to their feet and saluted. What they knew about her. He was about to learn the hard way. What city are you watching from today? If this story resonated with you, hit subscribe for more real stories about extraordinary people. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead in the Pentagon situation room. The air tasted like stale coffee and tension. Around the mahogany table sat some of the most decorated military officers in the nation, 3-star admirals with chests full of medals, generals whose names were whispered in military academies, and a SEAL team commander fresh from the field, still wearing his desert tan uniform. And then there was her. She stood near the back wall, almost invisible. No uniform, just a simple gray blazer and dark slacks. Her hair pulled back in a practical bun. Her face betrayed nothing, no emotion, no authority, nothing that would make you look twice. The SEAL commander noticed her during a break in the briefing. He was the kind of man who owned every room he entered, broad shoulders, confident stride, the swagger of someone who parachuted into enemy territory more times than he could count. He walked over, coffee cup in hand, and gave her a friendly nod. "First time at one of these?" he asked, his tone casual but slightly patronizing. She looked up. Her eyes were calm. Too calm. "No," she said simply. He waited for more. Nothing came. The SEAL shifted his weight. His curiosity piqued. She didn't have the nervous energy of a civilian contractor. She didn't have the rigid posture of junior personnel. She just stood there, present but unreadable. "So," he said with a slight grin, "what's your rank, ma'am?" He meant it as a joke. A light icebreaker. Maybe she was a logistics coordinator. Maybe a Pentagon analyst. Maybe someone's assistant. The question hung in the air. For a moment, she didn't respond. She just looked at him with those steady, unshakable eyes. Around them, the low murmur of conversation began to fade. Heads turned. One of the admirals, a man with silver hair and a chest full of combat ribbons, glanced over. His face changed. Then another officer noticed. His eyes widened. And then, like dominoes falling, it happened. One admiral stood up. Then another. Then the generals. Then every decorated officer in the room rose to their feet, their chairs scraping against the floor in a sudden symphony of respect, and they saluted. Not her. Not to the SEAL. To her. The SEAL commander froze, his coffee cup halfway to his lips. His grin evaporated. The room was silent, except for the hum of the ventilation system. She didn't return the salute. She didn't need to. She simply gave a small nod, and the officers sat back down, their eyes never leaving her. The SEAL felt his face flush. He set his coffee down slowly. Who are you?" One of the admirals cleared his throat. "Commander," he said quietly, "meet Vice Admiral Evelyn Cross. Retired." The word retired didn't soften the blow. If anything, it made it worse. Vice Admiral. Not captain. Not commander. Vice Admiral. One of the highest ranks in the Navy. A rank that commanded fleets. A rank that sat in the rooms where wars were planned and nations' fates decided. The SEAL's mind race. He just asked the Vice Admiral her rank like she was fresh out of boot camp, but the Admiral wasn't finished. She's also the former head of Naval Special Warfare Development Group Oversight. He paused. "Your unit, Commander. She's the one who wrote half the protocols you follow." The room seemed to tilt. The SEAL had trained under those protocols for years. They'd saved his life in Kandahar. They guided his team through hostage rescues in Somalia. And the woman he just casually dismissed in civilian clothes had written them. But there was more. Another officer, a Marine general with a scarred jaw, spoke up. She also served 3 tours in classified operations before anyone even knew women were in combat roles. Bosnia, Iraq, Afghanistan. She was there before it was legal, before it was acknowledged, before anyone gave her credit. Evelyn Cross remained silent. She didn't correct them, didn't add to it, didn't need to. The SEAL felt something he rarely experienced: humility. Raw, uncomfortable humility. During the next break, the admiral who first stood to salute her approached the SEAL. "You want to know why we saluted?" he asked. The SEAL nodded, his throat dry. 20 years ago, the admiral began, Evelyn Cross was a lieutenant commander on a joint task force in Fallujah. Her convoy was ambushed. I took out the lead vehicle. Insurgents closed in from 3 sides. Her commanding officer was killed instantly. She had 12 people under her command, most of them wounded, all of them pinned down. He paused, his eyes distant. She held that position for 6 hours. Returned fire, coordinated air support, treated the wounded, and got every single person out alive. She took shrapnel to the shoulder and kept fighting. Didn't even report the injury until they were back at base. The SEAL's jaw tightened. He knew that kind of courage. He'd seen it, lived it. But to hear it about the quiet woman in the corner. After that, the admiral continued, she was recruited into strategic command. Planned operations you've probably executed without knowing her name was on the briefing. She never sought recognition, never wrote a memoir, never gave an interview. She just ... served. The SEAL glanced across the room. Evelyn was reviewing a document, her face as composed as ever. No pride, no ego, just focus. When the briefing resumed, the SEAL found himself watching her differently. Every time she spoke, which was rarely, the room listened. Her words were precise, measured, devastatingly effective. She didn't dominate the conversation. She elevated it. At the end of the session, as officers filed out, the SEAL approached her. This time, his swagger was gone, replaced by something deeper: respect. "Ma'am," he said, his voice steady, "I owe you an apology." She looked up from her notes. For what? For assuming. For not recognizing. She held up a hand. "Commander, I dress this way on purpose. I don't wear my rank because I don't need to. The work speaks. The mission speaks. Everything else is noise." She paused, and for the first time, her expression softened just slightly. "You've done good work. I've read your after-action reports. Keep doing it. That's what matters." He nodded, something shifting in his chest. "Yes, ma'am." She picked up her briefcase. "And Commander?" "Ma'am?" Never judge a warrior by their uniform, or their lack of one. As she walked out of the Situation Room, the SEAL stood there, watching her disappear down the corridor. Around him, officers returned to their conversations, but he remained still. He thought about all the times he made assumptions, all the times he judged based on appearance, all the times he mistaken silence for weakness. Evelyn Cross had taught him something no training exercise ever could: that true strength doesn't announce itself. It doesn't need ribbons or uniforms or recognition. It simply is. And sometimes the most powerful person in the room is the one you almost overlooked. The full video's linked below. You can find it in the description and in the comments too. Don't miss the full story.